What's happening, guys? This is Mike at Mike's Little Dragon Channel, and today I have got a really great surprise for you guys. I was able to pick up a hardcover of the classic Wolverine storyline, Weapon X. I managed to get it at a pretty good deal because it was kind of damaged. The cover it's a hardcover, and it looked like it had probably been damaged in shipping, or maybe it fell off the shelf. The top of it was a little banged up, but nothing terrible. Actually, is something that fits right on my shelf. And since it's a hardcover, condition to me is kind of secondary. But what I'm going to do today, thumb through this edition here. This is one of the quintessential Wolverine storylines. This came out. It's a funny story. This Weapon X storyline appeared in an anthology book that Marvel was putting out in the late 80s, and it is called Marvel Comics Presents. And this, at the time, was really exciting because this was as much as a insight into Wolverine's origin that we had ever gotten up to that point. And I always think that it's super weird that Wolverine, one of Marvel's most popular characters, his origin and his background, the exploration that we were given, came to us by Barry Windsor Smith, and in a book that was not X-Men related. It was in a anthology book called Marvel Comics Presents, which, if you've never read, it was one of Marvel's books that would have 4 separate stories in there. Most of the time, 3 out of the 4 was serialized, so it would be part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And normally the 4th story in the book was kind of standalone, and it was not really one of Marvel's key titles. It was not one of their most popular titles, but it always, like I said, it always kind of blows me away that this Weapon X storyline was in there, and also that it was brought to us by Barry Windsor Smith, who is not someone that most people really associate with Wolverine. When they think of Wolverine, most of the time they think of Chris Claremont, especially from this era, with Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Larry Hama, Frank Miller. But nope, Barry Windsor Smith, he was the one who brought us this story right here. We're going to open it up, and we're going to go through it. Like I said, I got it at a discount because you can kind of see right here, it's kind of banged up, but on the corner. But to me, that ain't shit. I'll gladly take that. It was, if you take a look at it here, retails for $45. I got it for $35, so $10 off. That's not bad at all. We'll go ahead and open it up here. We see Wolverine floating in the tank. This little Barry Windsor Smith. He wrote and drew this story in Marvel Comics Presents. And then we got some of the other people who chipped in. They've got kind of like some extra material in it, like a couple short stories from another book or two. But as you'll see right here, Marvel Comics Presents 72 through 84 from 1991. This is the whole run of it, and it was part of Marvel Comics Presents. So you're only getting, even though you got 12 chapters, you're only getting, maybe 6 or 7 pages per issue. So you're getting some real cliffhanger stuff. Barry Windsor Smith, he's a guy who came to, he really became famous with his work on Conan. He really got his That's where he achieved most of what most Marvel people know him from. This is work on Conan. He had kind of like a painting style, and it really fit. I've read some of his Conan stuff. I think probably the story he's most famous for on that book is called Red Nails. He was the artist on that, while Roy Thomas was doing the writing. And you see a lot of, right here, this first opening story shows Wolverine getting kidnapped by these anonymous thugs. And this guy mentions here, Professor's not going to like this. He said no body damage, but he didn't say what a tough SOB, son of a gun, he would be. So really what you're seeing is Wolverine has been, or Logan at the time, has been kidnapped. And here we meet the guy who was in charge of this process. This is him right here. This is the guy that would be known as Professor Cornelius. Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. This guy right here, he's known as Professor Cornelius. So they have kidnapped Wolverine, and this is the process in which he undergoes the introduction of adamantium being fused to his skeleton. You see right here, Logan is a mutant. He has some kind of superhuman power to regenerate damaged tissue. He could be just about immortal, and you don't see fit to inform me of this somewhat important factor. So these guys have kidnapped Wolverine, or Logan, and they are experimenting on him, and they are putting him, basically they are doing the process on him that turns him into the basically the Wolverine that we know. Like I said, Wolverine, he first appeared in that Hulk, Incredible Hulk 181. And there was so much about him that we did not know. And to get this part of his origin revealed to us at the time was a real treat. And basically what they proceed to do is they kidnap him, and they have stuck him in this tank. They are beginning the process of bonding the adamantium to his skeleton. And not only outside of that, look at this panel here. That's his claws bursting right out of his hands. Now, we did not know at the time that Wolverine had bone claws. At the time, it was just assumed that the claws were installed in him as well as when the adamantium was bonded to his body. One of the things that's great about this is not only do you get to see Wolverine being experimented on, you see that the fact that the adamantium is bonded to him. Also, you begin to see like the brainwashing that goes on with him. So we see all this brainwashing on him. Now look at this page right here. The amount of detail that Smith puts into this. You know, look at all these wires here. There's like 1,000,000 wires that he has drawn, and so much science tech. And all these people are experimenting. Operant conditioning of Mr. Logan then can't be counted on his reformed state, his brutish impulses being greatly exaggerated since they had adamantium bonding. So these people really do not have any idea what they have gotten or what they're creating. And then with this, we see the dialogue here saying that they're trying to control Wolverine. We see where the brainwashing is beginning. Just some really powerful looking pages. Look at this image right here. Just another great looking page right here. This panel at the top of the wolf's eyes, and then underneath it you see Wolverine's face. Both of them are about the same. You know, Wolverine, his eyes will always be like a hunter's eyes, just like this wolf's is. What they've done here is basically they've released Wolverine into the wild. They're monitoring him, see how he deals with these wolves attacking him, observing him being out. He's engaged the wolves. He's popped his claws out. Now he's attacking. As you can see from the dialogue here, everyone is observing him. They really think they've hit onto something. Program complete. We seem to have run out of wolves. Total massacre. Splendid. So they're really happy with what they've created here. Look at this page here. Just this look of the kind of like a X-ray of Wolverine's arm. It's just two incredible looking pages that Barry Windsor's drawn here. It's really interesting what we see in this book, because so little of it is from Wolverine's perspective. It's all from the people who, the doctors and the scientists who are experimenting on him. So it's basically like, you know, all these issues are from the captors' perspective instead of the captives. And we've seen these images, this style of Wolverine with all the Weapon X attachments to him. We've seen it in so many media and cartoons. We've seen it in the Wolverine Origins movie. Everyone's kind of having some laughs here at Wolverine's. Everyone's having laughs here because of him attempting to walk. Basically, they have him on remote control and they make him fall down. These guys just think it's hilarious, but Wolverine will have the last laugh here. This is a beautiful shot here. Him with the big visor, the big VR helmet. His claws pop. All this tech on him. Set the alarm now. Okay, what? The alarm. Logan's free. Look at these guys. Good Lord. You maniac. How could you? You're insane. Look at this panel right here. They've drawn the open fire. What happened to the failsafe, Professor? It isn't working, I tell you. So we've gotten to the part now where Wolverine has kind of managed to break free of his imprisonment. He's just running roughshod on the guards here. Look, everyone's on high alert right here. The guards are scrambling, and it's just cries of everyone being massacred. Help me! Move it! Help! And then we've got this really incredible shot right here. This is probably the standout shot of the miniseries, and probably, I believe that they had it as a cover for the one of the early Weapon X trade paperbacks. Just him standing on top of this mound of bodies. And right now, as you'll see, everyone's basically trying to get the hell out of Dodge. The professor, his Professor Cornelius, his associates, they're all trying to get out of here. They know that the experiment's out of control. Wolverine's on the loose, and he's moving in what we call now basically total berserker rage. This is from this part of the story here is really cool because, oh, look at that. Wolverine, just a really great action shot. This page here, claws extended, just looking pure manic. But this part of the story here, one of the things that's really cool about it is it shifts from being the scientists observing him to basically us witnessing it. It turns from basically a suspense story, a thriller, into action when Wolverine is able to shake off being under their influence or whatever and goes on the attack. It goes into full-on action and full-on him attacking his people who've had him enslaved and experimented on. And he still, when you look at these pictures here, he doesn't really understand what's going on. He doesn't know. He's just reacting and moving just off pure instinct. And then Dr. Cornelius here, he throws this girl over the banister, throws her into the pit to distract Wolverine to buy himself some time. Basically, Cornelius here has opened, he's kind of like triggered some sort of device that's going to go scorched earth on the area. He's hoping to take out Wolverine. He knows that he's lost everything, and he's trying to basically destroy everything, all the work he's done, all the evidence. his experiment. You see Wolverine right here, on fire, no hair left, skin missing because he's sustained so many burns, and he has no idea. Am I dead? Is that what you've done to me? And we see this time and time again with Wolverine. You are an animal. I am Logan. I am a man. Because that's always been one of the big things. Logan's civility versus his wild nature. And also one of the other things, if you'll notice about these last couple pages here, the dialogue starts to whittle down. It starts to disappear. The panels get more and more close-ups, more action, less words, more simpler phrases, which you can kind of get the feel for the intensity of the situation ratcheting up. And you can kind of see right here, Wolverine pops his claws out, put a slight grin on his face. And then this scene here at the end, you don't see it, but you can really infer it. His claws are in his head. Professor Cornelius Starks or whatever his name is. And then, as we know from a lot of the earlier, couple of the few facts that we learned about Wolverine, he escapes the Weapon X project. Very little idea what was going on, what has been done to him. And basically, he's running out of here, out of the Weapon X project, and you see all this dialogue is basically thoughts that he's thinking to himself and feelings that he's experiencing right now after he's finally had a chance to process everything that was done to him in the Weapon X process. All these are just images of kind of like the battle, like these are all like metaphorical images of things that he's experiencing right now. And then we see, like I said, one of the things that we knew about Wolverine, one of the few pieces of his origin that we knew, is that he was found out in the wild, basically living like an animal. So we see he's escaped. We see that he's out. But yet another thing that, this is one of the things that reflects upon Wolverine, is all those experiences and all those feelings and everything is revealed right here. Logan thinks he's killed just about all of us. So one of the things about Wolverine that has become kind of routine up to this point is he has so many false memories implanted in his head, he consistently doesn't know what's real and what's fake. And this is just the start of all of that. Him being on the outside, running, thinking he's escaped, and he's thinking that he's killed everybody. But in reality, this is just yet another false memory he has put in. But we see somehow or another he's doubled back. And we see this door getting sliced open like a tin can. And we see him coming back, confronting the professor, his two assistants. Then we're at the end here, interlude and escape. And then, like I said, Wolverine, he's out here in the rural wilderness of Canada, basically out here buck naked on his own. And this is where he's found by the people from Alpha Flight who pick him up. And then we have the last couple of pages right here. I don't know what to tell you, Hines. I'm going on what the professor said. Anything other than that is out of my league. I think the professor's a liar, sir. I wish I had never come with Experiment X, sir. Yeah. Me too, I guess. So, you're left to infer whether even this last section happened or not. Is this yet another memory that was implanted? Is this just like another instance of them brainwashing Wolverine? So, we have this one panel right here at the end where it looks like it might be a scene from, you've got somebody's hand right here in blood. You've got some tech here. So maybe this gives credence to the fact that Wolverine did break back in there and did kill them and get his freedom. But all in all, this is a lot of really powerful work. A lot of really powerful pages. And a really incredible chapter. And one of Marvel's most popular characters. He, we know so much about Wolverine right now in 2024. But, before this came out in, 89 or 90 or whatever it was, we didn't know much about him at all. This is just like a page that Larry Hama wrote, a little epilogue. He spent a great amount of time on the Wolverine book. But it's really hard to put into context how much of a game changer this was when it came out. Because, like I said, we know so much about Wolverine right now because of the Origin miniseries, the movies, and everything. This is just some extra material that was put out into you know, backup stories or what have you. That to get all this information about him being in the Weapon X project is, you know, really powerful stuff. This is an X-Men story. Chris Claremont, Barry Windsor Smith worked on this in 1986. And this is kind of a story that shows the creation of the Reavers, you know, the cyborgs that are a mainstay in fighting, or at the time, they were big X-Men villains. They were basically cyborg mercenaries who fought the X-Men all the time. This doesn't really tie into the story, but you'll see that one of the things that's most interesting about Wolverine, he runs into Katie Power right here, who's the youngest member of the kid group called Power Pack. And it always seems like Wolverine has a young child who, it's kind of like a lone wolf and cub. Wolverine is the killer samurai, and he has an innocent child with him who has to take care of him, or he's taking care of them, or playing, you know, mentor, whether it be Jubilee, Kitty, Katie Power right here. But yeah, back to what I was saying about, and then he's fighting Lady Deathstrike. Like I said, with as much stuff we know about Wolverine right now, it's really hard to get across and point how important all this stuff was to find out about him when this came out. These were the covers for the Marvel Comics Presents issues that featured this storyline, which this right here is kind of a play off of that infamous Frank Miller Wolverine miniseries issue, the one where he's got his claws popped and he's beckoning with one finger. This is a great image here, just the desolate snowy background. And then this double page, chapter 12, the last part of the storyline that was told for Weapon X. And then these are the pages as they were turned in. So this is really the big wrap up here. These are just like all extra parts to this little bonus features of this hardcover here. The original art. Then we've got some extra stuff here. This is a Sam Keith unused cover. How sad. This is probably the cover most people have seen. I think this was the first trade they put out. I think it was that early hardcover from a time when we didn't get trade paperbacks and hardcovers very often. And it still goes super hard even today. Some Strange Reason Cyclops cover. These are all just various things that Barry Windsor Smith has worked on. And then we've got a little bit about the people involved. Barry Windsor Smith, Chris Claremont, who wrote a couple of the backup stories. Frank Terry, who worked on one of the backup stories here. But that is a quick thumb through this really awesome hardcover. And if you happen to find this book, I really recommend picking it up. It's a really important part of Wolverine's storyline. And like I said, it's all common knowledge stuff right now. But at the time, you know, it was groundbreaking to see. And so it's a little trip back down memory lane to kind of see the story as it happened by one of the greats, Barry Windsor Smith. He's someone who, outside of Conan, kind of was all over the place. Like I said, he did this story here with Marvel Comics Presents. Spent a lot of time with the Valiant books, working on those in the 90s, and has done a lot of kind of solo, smaller projects. I don't know if he's really been back to the big two since then, at least not for anything long term. I think the biggest thing that he's had come out since then was a independent trade paperback called Monster, which I picked up. It was really solid. It's kind of a, it's not a very flashy book, but it's one in which tells a story of, I want to say it's kind of like a Hulk story gone wrong. You know, a very unglamorous Hulk story is what I would call it. You know, where the Hulk is kind of superhero-y and flashy. This kind of is like a 180 of that. I think that's the last thing. I've got it up on the bookshelf right there. It's called Monsters. And I think it was put out by Fantagraphics or Humanoids or a third-party publisher like that. Beautiful work, beautiful artwork by him. It's a black and white book. If you get a chance, check it out. But that has been a quick rundown of Wolverine Weapon X storyline. So thank you guys for sitting here with this long video with me. And I hope you guys had a good holiday. Hope you didn't eat too much Thanksgiving turkey. And we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.